Some stories are harder to tell than others, and today is one of those moments. We gather with heavy hearts to remember the celebrities who once lit up our screens and lives, but have now left us forever. As we honor their lives and say goodbye, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so their stories continue to be remembered.
Valentino Clemente Garavani, Ludovico Garavani, known universally by his mononym Valentino, was a titan of the global fashion industry whose career spanned more than half a century. Born on May 11, 1932 in Voghera, Italy, he rose from a young apprentice with a passion for Hollywood glamour to become one of the most celebrated couturiers in history. His aesthetic, defined by unapologetic femininity, exquisite craftsmanship, and a signature shade of crimson known as Valentino Red, left an indelible mark on the landscape of high fashion. Valentino passed away on January 19, 2026, at the age of 93, marking the end of an era for the golden age of Italian and French couture. Valentino's fascination with fashion began in his childhood in northern Italy. He was the son of Mauro Garavani, an electrical supply company director, and Teresa de Biagi. Even as a teenager, he showed a keen interest in design, helping his aunt, Rosa, and local designer, Ernestina Salvadeo. Inspired by the opulent costumes he saw in cinema and at the opera, he moved to Paris at the age of 17 to pursue formal training. He studied at the École des Beaux-Arts and the Chambre syndicale de la couture parisienne. During this period, he apprenticed under legendary figures such as Jacques Fath, Balenciaga, John Dessès, and Guy Laroche, where he honed the technical skills and refined taste that would later define his own fashion house. In 1959, Valentino returned to Italy and opened his first fashion house in Rome on the Via Condotti with the financial backing of his father. Despite an initial struggle that brought the business close to bankruptcy, a chance meeting in 1960 with Giancarlo Giametti, an architecture student, proved to be the turning point. Giametti became Valentino's lifelong business and personal partner, managing the commercial and strategic aspects of the company, while Valentino focused on the creative vision. The designer's international breakthrough occurred in 1962 at the Pitti Palace in Florence. His debut collection was an overwhelming success, attracting the attention of international buyers and the social elite. By the mid-1960s, Valentino had become the preferred designer for a circle of the world's most influential women, including Elizabeth Taylor, Audrey Hepburn, and Princess Margaret. One of his most significant muses was Jacqueline Kennedy, who famously ordered 6 black-and-white couture dresses to wear during her year of mourning following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. She later chose a Valentino-designed ivory lace mini-dress for her 1968 wedding to Aristotle Onassis, a moment that solidified Valentino's status as a global icon. Valentino's work was characterized by a devotion to beauty in its most classical sense. Unlike many of his contemporaries who experimented with avant-garde or deconstructed styles, Valentino remained committed to flattering the female form through impeccable tailoring, intricate embroidery, and luxurious fabrics. His no-color collection in 1967, which featured ivory, cream, and beige, earned him the prestigious Neiman Marcus Fashion Award and introduced the V logo that remains a hallmark of the brand. Perhaps his most enduring contribution was the creation of Rosso Valentino. Inspired by an opera performance he saw in Barcelona as a student, he developed a specific blend of 100% magenta, 100% yellow, and 10% black. This vibrant hue became synonymous with his brand, appearing in every collection as a symbol of passion, power, and high-octane glamour. Throughout the late 20th century, Valentino continued to dominate the red carpet. His gowns were staples at the Academy Awards, worn by stars such as Julia Roberts, who accepted her Best Actress Oscar in a vintage 2001 Valentino, and Cate Blanchett. In 1998, Valentino and Giametti sold the company to the Italian conglomerate Holding di Partecipazioni Industriali, or HDP, for approximately $300 million, though Valentino remained the creative head. In 2007, he announced his retirement, concluding his career with a final haute couture show in Paris in January 2008. His life and meticulous work ethic were captured in the 2008 documentary Valentino, The Last Emperor, which showcased his extravagant lifestyle, his devotion to his 6 pugs, and his uncompromising standards. Even in retirement, he remained a respected figure in the industry, occasionally designing one-off pieces, such as the wedding gown for actress Anne Hathaway in 2012. Valentino was known for his jet-set lifestyle, splitting his time between a villa in Rome, a chateau near Paris, a chalet at Gstaad, and his luxury yacht, the TM Blue One. While his romantic relationship with Giancarlo Giametti transitioned into a deep platonic partnership in the 1970s, the two remained inseparable for over 65 years. He was also a passionate art collector and gardener, often citing his gardens as a primary source of peace and inspiration. On January 19, 2026, the Valentino Garavani and Giancarlo Giametti Foundation announced that the designer had died peacefully at his residence in Rome. At 93 years old, his passing was attributed to natural causes. After his death, the city of Rome paid its tribute to its adopted son with a public lying in state at the Piazza Mignonelli, where thousands of mourners gathered to pay their respects. Tributes poured in from around the world. Italian leadership described him as an undisputed master of style, while contemporaries like Giorgio Armani and Donatella Versace praised his unwavering commitment to elegance. His funeral was held at the Basilica of St. Mary of the Angels and the Martyrs in Rome on January 23, 2026. He was subsequently interned in a family chapel at the Flaminio Cemetery, a space he will eventually share with Giametti. Valentino Garavani's legacy persists through the continued success of the fashion house that bears his name and through his foundation, which supports the arts. He is remembered not merely as a dressmaker, but as a cultural architect who defined the visual language of 20th century luxury. As he frequently stated throughout his life, his only mission was to make women look beautiful, a goal he achieved with unparalleled consistency and grace. Over the decades, his influence transformed the definition of Italian craftsmanship, ensuring that his name would remain a synonym for sophistication long after his departure from the world stage.
Valerie Ritchie Perrine, an American actress and model whose career spanned decades in genres, was a unique presence in Hollywood, known for her blend of vulnerability, humor, and striking beauty. Born on September 3, 1943 in Galveston, Texas, she transitioned from a Las Vegas showgirl to an Oscar-nominated actress, becoming one of the most recognizable faces of the 1970s. Following a courageous and well-documented battle with health challenges, Perrine passed away at her home in Beverly Hills, California on March 23, 2026, at the age of 82. Her death marked the end of a life defined by artistic risk-taking and a spirited defiance of industry norms. Perrine's path to stardom was unconventional. The daughter of a U.S. Army lieutenant colonel and a dancer, she spent much of her childhood in Japan and Arizona. Her professional career began in the late 1960s as a showgirl at the Lido de Paris in the Stardust Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. It was there that she was discovered by an agent who saw her potential for the screen. She made her film debut in 1972 as Montana Wildhack in the adaptation of Slaughterhouse-Five, a role that immediately established her as a rising talent capable of navigating complex, unconventional material. Her creative peak arrived in 1974 when she portrayed Honey Bruce, the wife of comedian Lenny Bruce, in the biographical film Lenny. Starring opposite Dustin Hoffman and directed by Bob Fosse, Perrine's performance was a tour de force of emotional depth. She received an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress and won the Best Actress Award at the Cannes Film Festival alongside a BAFTA for Most Promising Newcomer. Her portrayal of the troubled, devoted wife remains a benchmark for dramatic performance in the era of New Hollywood. Despite her dramatic credentials, Perrine became a household name for her role as Eve Teschmacher in the 1978 blockbuster Superman and its 1980 sequel. As the glamorous but morally conflicted accomplice to Lex Luthor, Perrine brought a comedic spark and humanizing touch to the superhero genre. Her chemistry with the cast helped ground the film's fantastical elements, earning her a lasting place in hearts of fans worldwide. She continued to work steadily through the late 20th century, appearing in films like The Electric Horseman, The Border, and What Women Want. The later years of Perrine's life were significantly shaped by her health. She was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2015, though those close to her noted that she had been privately battling symptoms for several years prior. The progressive nature of the illness impacted her ability to speak and move, eventually leading to her withdrawal from public life. Valerie Perrine died of complications from Parkinson's disease on March 23, 2026. She is remembered as a performer who was never afraid to be seen as she was, whether as a glamorous icon or a vulnerable human being. She remains an enduring symbol of 1970s cinema, remembered for her intelligence, her wit, and the indelible mark she left on the history of film.
Carlos Ray Norris, known to the world as Chuck Norris, was a figure of nearly mythic proportions, whose career bridged the worlds of professional combat and international cinema. Born on March 10, 1940, in Ryan, Oklahoma, he rose from a shy, unathletic youth to become a 7-time world karate champion and one of the most bankable action stars in Hollywood history. His presence, defined by a stoic demeanor, a trademark beard, and unparalleled physical prowess, transcended film to become a permanent fixture of internet culture. Norris passed away unexpectedly on March 19, 2026, at his home in Kauai, Hawaii, at the age of 86. His death followed just days after his final birthday, which he had celebrated with characteristic vigor. Norris's journey into the martial arts began during his service in the United States Air Force in the late 1950s. While stationed at Osan Air Base in South Korea, he began training in Tong Soo Do, an experience that fundamentally altered the trajectory of his life. Upon returning to the United States, he established a chain of karate schools and began a dominant run on the professional tournament circuit. By the late 1960s, he was an undisputed champion, a status that caught the attention of Bruce Lee. Their legendary fight scene in the 1972 film The Way of the Dragon remains one of the most influential moments in martial arts cinema, launching Norris's transition from the dojo to the silver screen. In the 1980s, Norris became the face of American action heroism. He headlined a string of successes, including the Missing in Action trilogy, The Delta Force, and Lone Wolf McQuade. These roles typically featured Norris as a silent, principled warrior, defending justice against overwhelming odds. In 1993, he shifted his focus to television with Walker, Texas Ranger. The series ran for 9 seasons and became a global phenomenon, cementing his image as the ultimate lawman. His portrayal of Cordell Walker was so impactful that he was later named an honorary Texas Ranger by the governor of Texas.
Beyond his technical skill, Norris became a unique cultural phenomenon in the 21st century through hyperbolic internet memes that portrayed him as an indestructible, all-powerful being. While initially a parody of his tough guy persona, Norris eventually embraced the humor, using the platform to promote his philanthropic efforts, specifically Kickstart Kids, a non-profit organization he founded to build character in youth through martial arts training. Norris's personal life was grounded by his deep faith and his 28-year marriage to Gina O'Kelly. He spent his final years on his ranch in Texas and his home in Hawaii, remaining physically active and dedicated to his charitable work until his final days. On March 19, 2026, his family confirmed his sudden passing, stating that he was at peace and surrounded by loved ones. His legacy is one of discipline, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to the code of ethics he championed throughout his life. Chuck Norris remains an enduring symbol of strength, proving that the man behind the myth was just as formidable as the characters he portrayed.
The life and career of Julie Andrews, a living legend of stage and screen. Dame Julie Andrews, born Julia Elizabeth Wells on October 1, 1935, in Walton-on-Thames, England, remains one of the most beloved and versatile performers in the history of entertainment. With a career spanning over 8 decades, she has transitioned from a child prodigy on the British music hall circuit to a global icon of musical cinema, a distinguished author, and a modern voice of prestige television. As of April 2026, Andrews is 90 years old and continues to be celebrated for her immense contributions to the arts, characterized by a rare combination of technical perfection, warmth, and enduring grace. The early life of Julie Andrews was marked by both professional precociousness and personal complexity. She was the daughter of Barbara Morris, a pianist, and Edward Wells, a teacher. Her parents divorced when she was 5, and she was primarily raised by her mother and her stepfather, Ted Andrews, a tenor from whom she took her professional name. It was during the height of World War II that her extraordinary vocal talent was first discovered. While sheltering in air raid bunkers during the Blitz, her stepfather would lead community singing to keep spirits high. Young Julie would join in, her voice ringing out a full octave above the crowd. This revealed a 4-octave range and a crystalline quality that was rare for a child. By the age of 10, she was performing in her parents' vaudeville act, often standing on a crate to reach the microphone. Her professional solo debut occurred in 1947 at the London Hippodrome, where she sang a demanding operatic aria in the revue Starlight Roof. This performance made her an overnight sensation in Britain and led to her becoming the youngest person ever to perform in a Royal Command variety performance for King George VI. Her disciplined training under soprano Lillian Stiles Allen provided the foundational technique that would allow her to conquer Broadway and Hollywood in the decades to follow. In 1954, Andrews made her Broadway debut in The Boyfriend, earning immediate critical acclaim. This was followed by her career-defining role as Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady and Queen Guinevere in Camelot. Despite her stage success, she was famously passed over for the film version of My Fair Lady, a snub that turned into a historic opportunity when Walt Disney cast her as the lead in Mary Poppins. The role earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress. She followed this immediately with The Sound of Music, portraying Maria von Trapp. These 2 films solidified her status as the world's premier musical star, with her voice and image becoming synonymous with a specific era of cinematic optimism and elegance.
The mid-career phase for Andrews involved a deliberate move toward more diverse and mature roles. Under the direction of her second husband, Blake Edwards, whom she married in 1969, she explored dramatic and comedic territory that challenged her wholesome image. Notable projects included the Americanization of Emily, S.O.B., and the gender-bending musical Victoria, Victoria, which earned her another Academy Award nomination and a Golden Globe. This period demonstrated her range not just as a singer, but as a formidable comedic and dramatic actress who could navigate the changing landscape of Hollywood with sophistication. A pivotal and tragic turning point occurred in 1997. While performing in the Broadway adaptation of Victoria, Victoria, Andrews began experiencing vocal strain. She underwent what was described as a routine surgical procedure to remove non-cancerous nodules from her vocal cords. The surgery resulted in permanent damage, stripping her of her world-class singing voice and reducing her range to a limited register. This loss was devastating. Andrews described it as a bereavement that forced her to reinvent herself. Rather than retreating from the spotlight, she pivoted toward writing and voiceover work. Alongside her daughter, Emma Walton Hamilton, she has authored over 30 children's books and several best-selling memoirs, including Home and Homework. In the 21st century, Andrews experienced a massive resurgence in popularity. She introduced herself to a new generation of fans through her role as Queen Clarice Rinaldi in the Princess Diaries franchise. She also became a mainstay in major animated franchises, voicing Queen Lillian in the Shrek series and Gru's mother in the Despicable Me films. Most recently, she has provided the voice for the narrating gossip columnist Lady Whistledown in the global hit Bridgerton. In 2026, she continues to provide the narration for the show's 4th season, her distinct and authoritative voice remaining one of the most recognizable in contemporary media. Regarding her health in 2026, Julie Andrews remains remarkably active for her age. While she has been seen using a walking stick for stability during public outings, a natural development for a woman of 90, she has not faced any life-threatening illnesses. She has maintained a focus on mental and physical wellness, often speaking about the importance of staying curious and engaged with the world. She continues to support medical research aimed at restoring vocal cord function, frequently visiting laboratories and participating in press conferences to highlight advancements in tissue engineering that might one day help others with similar vocal injuries. Andrews's personal life has been defined by long-term stability and a commitment to family. Her 41-year marriage to Blake Edwards ended with his death in 2010, a loss she has spoken about with profound poignancy. She is a mother to 5 children, one from her first marriage to set designer Tony Walton, 2 stepchildren from Edwards's first marriage, and 2 daughters the couple adopted from Vietnam in the 1970s. Her home remains a hub for her large family, which now includes numerous grandchildren and great-grandchildren. In 2026, the legacy of Julie Andrews is more than just a collection of awards, though she possesses nearly every major honor, including an Oscar, several Emmys, Grammys, and Golden Globes, as well as a Disney Legend designation and a Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award. Her true legacy lies in her resilience. She is an artist who survived a difficult childhood, conquered the most competitive stages in the world, and then found a second, equally successful career after losing the very gift that made her famous. She is remembered not merely as a singer of crystalline clarity, but as a cultural architect who defined the visual and auditory language of 20th century luxury and warmth. Dame Julie Andrews remains a pillar of the global creative community, a living testament to the idea that grace and professional excellence can endure across generations.